have some shoutcasts. Generals, gentlemen.
Hello, what is up? Welcome back to another StarCraft II Wings of Liberty shoutcast from myself, Ownage Machine of the Generals Gentlemen. Today I am back casting a Perth PBSL2 Barcraft match, this time between Paul as the red Protoss and against, I don't know what to call him. I'll call him DaXn. DaXn as the blue Protoss. On map Tal'Darim Altar, which is a bit of a controversial map. A lot of people like this map, a lot of people really don't. It's generally regarded, to my understanding, it's generally regarded as being a pretty hated PvP map, and basically that's because a lot of people, they feel like they kind of have to 4-gate or lose. Like there's no real middle ground of what they can do in a PvP situation. And as I explained in my last VOD, I don't really understand a lot of these matchups to as much detail as I do Terran matchups, because I'm a Terran player. So it's always interesting for me to actually kind of like watch other replays that I'm not used to, especially casting them as well, because then when I'm casting I tend to put a bit more effort into actually analysing what's happening than I usually would. Now, regarding the players themselves, I'm actually not sure on their leagues, to be honest. I mean, I should probably find out, but I don't think it really matters that much. Anyway, so far, both of their gas is going down, so they're not going for a Nexus before Gateway, which, you know, no surprise there, because that's pretty much auto-lose in a PvP. And my understanding of PvPs is that it's a really aggressive matchup. Basically, like, you don't get your second base for a while, which is pretty much the only matchup where that's the case. Generally, every other matchup in the entire game, it's always like rushing a fast second and sometimes even a third. So that's why PvP can be kind of interesting, because it's a very different change of pace from what you normally see. But that's alright, we do like change, don't we? So actually chronoing out a Zealot from Paul here, so that's unusual there. Meanwhile, we do have DaXn actually saving up his chrono, so I would say that's for the really early warp gates. I know these things, you don't. Oh wait, okay, just kidding, because he's actually chronoing a Zealot. I'm not sure why they're chronoing the Zealot out. Maybe for proxy or something, but anyway. Look at that, Paul trying to sneak in a pylon there, but no, DaXn does definitely scout that, and will force the cancel with that Zealot to take that out. So definitely chronoing down more gateway units. Okay. I would have assumed they would have they saved the chrono. Well, Paul is now, he's definitely chronoing out his Cybercore, but we have DaXn, yes, he's chronoing out as much units as he can, a Stalker and a Zealot, so he might be going for some early aggression there. Actually, yeah, look at that, we do have 4 gateways going down from Paul, so definitely a 4-gate himself. And as for DaXn, he only has the 1 gateway, but he doesn't even have his second Nexus either, so right now he's not really doing much, is he? Trying to deny that pylon, actually. Yeah, definitely he knows how much the pylon has to die, otherwise he will get 4-gated very hard. One of Paul's Zealots is actually trying to take out some probes, and it will take out 1, 2 even. So good harassment there with that probe taking down the Zealot, taking down 2 of those probes. So yeah, likewise, it's not far into the game. We already are seeing, actually, look at that. Oh wow, the gateway's been cancelled. Probably going to go for his expand now, because the damage was already done. So I think because he said, well, I've killed some probes, and now I lost my pylon, so I'm not in a very good position to 4-gate. So what's the point? I might as well cancel my gate. What? Okay, so he cancelled his gateway just to rebuild it. And where is his Nexus? He has the money for a Nexus. What is he doing? I'm confused. I'm rather confused as to why he's floating that much and not actually spending it. But okay, fair enough. Maybe he's not a very high league player. No offense. So looking back at DaXn here, he is getting some gateways himself, but it's pretty late at this stage. Like, I really would like to see a Nexus go down, because it's like the 6-minute mark. I mean, you think by the 6-minute mark, it's kind of safe to build an expansion. Like, it is a PvP, yeah, I know, but 6 minutes, yeah, you know. Anyway, so Daxn actually getting his own pylon near Paul's natural expansion. That's good, because then you can deny probes quite easily. Daxn getting a full scout. He doesn't know exactly what's going on now. He sees absolutely everything in Paul's base. Very important to do. So he will see that he has no tech. He only has gateways, and what he'll do with that information, we'll have to see. Going for a really early Twilight Cancel, so possibly for some Blink Stalker spam. Let's find out. But this is really weird, because pretty much every single PBSL game so far I've actually had a look at, both players have gone for like a really early 3 base, like every game 3 base, really early 3 base, and now it's the complete flip of that. It's yeah, they haven't got a base yet, and it's the 7-minute 50 mark. So I don't think that's unusual for PvP, but you know, fair enough. Do what you got to do. I am not one to judge. Yes, I am. I lied. So we have quite a lot of chrono stored up on Daxn here. Looks like he really wants to absolutely balls out that chrono. Sorry, the blink, unless he's just bad at spending his chrono. No, okay, no, he's actually, yeah, saving it for blink. Good. Meanwhile, we do have Immortals coming out of Paul now. That's going to be very good at actually dealing with these Blink Stalkers, is having those Immortal. But Immortals are pretty slow compared to Blink Stalkers, so you got to really position that correctly. But because he only has 1 base, it means that you can't really do much with Blink Stalkers other than kill stuff. Whereas, you know, if he has several bases, then you can actually harass the probes quite easily. But if it's only 1, that's hard to do. But here we have a second Nexus going down at the 9-minute mark. Oh my god, not every day you see that, is it? Not every day you see the second base go down at 9 minutes. So shout out for Paul. We're getting his expansion before Daxn. Daxn now going for his Robo, and Blink is just finishing, but he's only on 3 gateways. Actually crowing up is warping in a Zealot. They're not going to do much, but get a Scout. He knows he has Immortals now, so it's going to be very good there, actually getting that Immortal Scout, so he might transition into a bit more Zealots than he had planned. But now we are actually seeing quite a fair bit. We have 10 Blink Stalkers on the field right now, whereas Paul has kind of a mixture between the Mortal Sentry Stalker Zealot kind of thing. So now Daxn is actually engaging. He doesn't have Blink, but he has no way of actually blinking up on the high ground. He doesn't have an Observer, and he did lose that probe, so now he has no option but to actually attack up the ramp, and that's bad. You don't do that. So I would say he's going to get the Observer now, and with that Observer it'll give him sight on the high ground, and then he can actually harass quite easily with not only over this cliff here, but now also over this one as well. So it's giving him 2 options of attacking. So now he's pushing up the ramp though. The ramp undefended, is poking what he can, trying to not overcommit to himself, just trying to poke down. Good, very cautious play there, and we are seeing Daxn's second base go down now. So they're both on 1 base each, but Paul's base was up a lot earlier than his. And not only that though, Daxn has a whole bunch more probes than Paul does, 38 to 29. And so I would say that's just because Daxn is obviously putting more effort into actually building the probes. He even lost 2 to Zealots, and despite the fact that he has more probes after that anyway. So, but now that Paul is mining his second base, he's going to be ahead in terms of income. Look at that, long distance mining. Whoopsie daisies. But now we do see Paul's Observer actually giving him complete vision of this expand. So that's good to have there, because it gives you an idea of what's going on, as well as the fact that it does give you sight for drops for Blink. So look at that, so we have the Stalkers splitting up. There's so many Stalkers right now. We have 15 Stalkers. And because they're Blink, that's pretty scary. We do see no forges though, no upgrades there. But now with that Observer, yes, he can blink over the wall. And with that, he will actually probably go for some probes, but he will get intercepted by Paul's Stalkers. And now they're going to try and force them off, but Blink is on cooldown. Oh no, losing some of the Stalkers there. Just a bad micro there. So he didn't really achieve much. Oh, actually, just kidding, because look at that. He did manage to also push through the natural by forcing off Paul's army to defend his main. He managed to blink over there and actually take down some of Paul's workers. So that was good work there by Daxn, actually. Yeah, managing to split up Paul's army and do some harassment where he can. Not only that, he did also delay Paul's mining time by quite a fair bit. We see a Colossus now. A Colossus coming out on the field. That's a very good thing to do. From what I've heard, from what I've seen, PvP mid-game is all about just kind of who has the most Colossus. And then late game, it's like, motherships, and it all gets crazy. But from that stage, anyway, we are seeing another Colossus and Thermal Lance go down. Do we see the same from Paul? No, Daxn, sorry, no. We do see a Immortal coming out, but that's okay because he is also getting his Robotics Bay, so I'm sure he will do the same. Actually, was that a second? A second Robotics Facility. Okay. I'm pretty sure you can't afford 2 Robos and 5 Gateways off of 4 gas though. Maybe just going for a whole bunch of charged lots and 2 Colossus. That could work. But I think generally when people go for their 2 Robos, you kind of want like at least 3 bases getting quite a fair bit of gas because Robo units are very gas heavy. Actually, same thing as well. A second Robo going down from Paul as well. So they definitely they want to get as many of the Colossus or Immortals as they can. We do see now Daxn actually positioning his Stalkers near this base who can do small harassment, but there's just so many units now. It's not going to be very easy for him because of this huge death ball we see Paul is getting quite so far. Now, actually, I'm pretty sure this is the old map because I'm pretty sure in the new version they got rid of these rocks. So this must be an old version of the map we're playing, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, we are not seeing any third bases. It is 15 minutes into the game, and no third bases are going down, so that's very unusual. So I would like to probably cast some more PvP matches for actually to compare the timings, because I'm not sure like what's normal, what's unusual. I mean, I'm assuming that this is unusual, but honestly, I'm not too sure. So chronoing out more rovers. We have 3 Colossus on the field now, 3 against 1. So definitely, Paul is looking in a very good position because he has this Colossus army. But we are seeing quite a fair bit coming out of Daxn now with that double Robo. So, oh, look at that. We have Daxn actually blinking over, taking out one of those Colossus because he has pushed out, and with Paul's pushing out, he has nothing to actually defend these Stalkers. The Stalkers are going to take down the Robos. That's very important because when they go down, he cannot rebuild any Colossus or Immortals. So Paul is pushing into the main base of Daxn. His army is quite a fair bit small. He only has Stalkers, but he's losing so many of his probes. Whoopsie. Look at that. Look at all these probes absolutely shoot down. And so now, not looking good for Daxn because he's not in a good position to defend. He has quite a fair bit of Zealots, but not really any Immortals or Stalkers. Look at, he has charged lots though, but they're getting absolutely mowed down by the Colossus Splash and all of the Stalkers as well. They're just doing so much damage to these Colossus, but actually good force field there because it is blocking off quite a fair bit of Stalkers, doing less damage than they could normally. But it's just basically such a huge army coming out of Paul now. But if we do look back at Paul's base, he's losing quite a fair bit to all these Stalkers, so we might actually have a base race going on over here. Excuse me, taking down that pylon. And now with that pylon down, Daxn has no way of rebuilding those 2 Colossus, which is so close. So such a huge army of these Stalkers from Daxn still. So I think it's going to come down to maybe these secret bases that the players don't know about, because it looks like at this stage they're both going to lose their bases, and I think it'll go towards Paul because Paul has the Colossus as well as the Stalkers. I mean, he doesn't have Blink though, but Blink's not going to make that much of a difference against Colossus if he just kind of plays them really carefully and keeps an eye on them. But we do actually still see some of Paul's base remaining, so he could warp in some more units there, which he might actually do. Yeah, look at that. 3 Stalkers are going down, so Daxn should have taken down some of those probes before he moved away. Meanwhile, looking at Daxn's base, he has absolutely nothing left. He's not leaving anything left to be reused. Not even his probes, actually. The probes will get killed mercilessly. How dare you. Geneva Convention does not exist in StarCraft II. Actually, even if it did, it wouldn't do much because they're robots. So that was a very dumb thing to say. Yeah, so all these probes going down, and meanwhile, both players are trying to actually get their economy running. But we do not actually see anything really happening from Daxn's base here. He has so much money, and yet he isn't really spending on probes. So maybe trying to get some more bases here. He might get another Nexus, but he's definitely not spending his money. Where if we do look at Paul is actually building some probes to continue mining. So look at the army now. As I said before, I think Paul's got this because he has quite a fair big army. We have, yeah, look, almost double the size of Daxn's army. The only thing Daxn has going for him is this Blink, which, you know, isn't going to really help him that much. But neither players can. Oh, that's why. He's out of supply. Sorry, my mistake. So he's going to have to build a whole bunch of pylons so he can actually build some more probes to continue mining. He has the money for it. He can afford like 8 pylons. Well, 7. He's 7, and then he can start building. But he doesn't need 7. He only needs like 3. So the Stalkers are trying to get in a really good position. They do not want to engage this at a very bad angle, because if he loses this army, then he's out of the game. And he has Blink, so it depends how patient he's going to be, but he could win this if his Blink and his positioning is so on the ball. But now actually discovering Paul's base, he may even just base race this. He might just abuse the mobility and the better speed of the Blink Stalkers and just completely, look, he might just try and base race this. Yeah, trying to get out of there. He's going to get caught out by these Stalkers. He's going to Blink out of there, take down here to the low ground, but then he will actually reveal his base. You don't want to do that, but he doesn't really have a choice at this stage, unfortunately. So losing a couple of Stalkers there. Oh no, getting caught out of position. There goes 3 Stalkers, I believe. So meanwhile, Daxn army is getting smaller and smaller, and now the fact that Paul has discovered Daxn's base, it's only a matter of time before he actually shreds through it. So unless Daxn can perform some miracles, I think it's going to be GG for Daxn. And Daxn now actually being able to build some probes. He has lost enough of those Stalkers to enable him to rebuild some probes. But what he needs is Immortals, which is not going to happen anytime soon. So another Stalkers are being caught out. But meanwhile, the big army from Paul is going to push towards Daxn's base. So he doesn't really have a choice now. Daxn has to engage this, otherwise he will outright lose the game. There's a pylon there, but it will get revealed. It's going to get revealed. But actually, look, Daxn is going to base race. He's going to sneak around. He knows he cannot beat his army. That army is so much bigger than him. He has no choice but to actually try and base race. And he can do this because Daxn has this extra nexus and this extra pylon, whereas Paul has nothing. He doesn't know this, though, and yet he's going for the gamble. And with that pylon, that will be game. That will be game for Paul. Wait. What? What is it? Hang on. I don't get it. Oh, there we go, look. They both have their pylons in pretty much the same spot. And meanwhile, both of their bases have been revealed. They know where the probes are. Actually, no, they don't. Yeah, sorry, because Daxn still has his nexus up here. So he actually knows... Paul doesn't have vision. But Paul knows that Daxn has vision. So he is actually moving up the Stalkers to take this pylon. So this is very interesting, no, but he's actually going to get caught out by these. Nope, getting away there in time. Good work there. But I'm very on the ball with a Blink. So Paul doesn't really have a choice at this stage but to actually camp out this pylon, because if he loses that pylon, he's going to lose, and that pylon will die very fast to these Blink Stalkers. So he has the Overlord though, and actually splitting the army up. It looks like he's going to try and maybe surround the army. That'd be very good there. That'd be a good thing to do. If the army is surrounded, he will not have a choice. It depends how long he can hold him though. If he could just hold him there for very long, then Daxn could start rebuilding some more units actually. So we'll see how long this draws. I have no idea how long this is going to draw out. I think Daxn is probably going to lose an army to a really bad initiate though. No, don't go into that. There's Colossus and they're pooping on you. Okay, so he's keeping a hold of these Stalkers very well. And every oh, look at that! He's going to take down the Absorber. If that Absorber does go down, it's going to be very important for Paul, actually having lost a lot of his vision. So, good work there. And now with that gone, he has no way of scouting Daxn's base unless he starts splitting off Stalkers, which he doesn't want to do because then he'll lose them to Daxn Stalkers, which are more mobile. Yeah, Daxn losing a pylon, but not a big deal there. And so, yeah, we do have a gateway going down. So, Daxn is actually going to start rebuilding units now. If he can hold off this long until he can rebuild units, it's going to take a while. But he can do that. He has this option, whereas Paul he's in such a bad position because he doesn't have any. He has to camp this, and now his army is split up, so he might be able to engage this. No, he doesn't. Losing the Stalker there. I mean, the unit preservation is so important at this stage. But looks like Paul is going to defend the pylon there, while pushing out with a second army, because every exchange he's doing, Daxn's army is getting smaller and smaller, whereas Paul's is staying the same. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how this is going to play out. This army could easily take out Daxn's, but the problem with that is Paul like, he can just blink away. Daxn can blink away from this army, and without actually knowing where Daxn's base is, he cannot push out. I think that's the only reason why he hasn't pushed out with half his army, which could easily take care of Daxn's Stalkers. He doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know where it is. So you now see a Cyber Core going down. I think if as soon as it gets to the stage where Daxn can pump out some more Immortals, then it'll be very good, because Immortals are going to be very good at dealing with the Colossus and the Stalkers. So that Immortal is out of position. He might actually lose that, and you don't want to lose an Immortal at this stage. The Immortal is going to be very good against these Stalkers, so he needs to make sure he doesn't actually send off any lone units to be sniped by these Stalkers. But there's just such little income coming in. We have 3 Harvesters, and it's worse than when you start the game, because when you start the game you get 6 Harvesters. So it's a very long process here, and meanwhile that pylon has actually stayed there. Paul has no idea that pylon's there. But it looks like Paul is actually trying to push out. He's trying to find something to engage. He's trying to look for whatever he can. And now holding these towers are going to be pretty good, because with the towers you can he'll probably find Daxn's Stalkers when he moves out. And from that you can generally get an idea of where the base is, because the base is going to be pretty close to their base. You don't want to leave base undefended. So taking these towers isn't a bad idea, but you have to make sure you don't get something sniped by having it alone by itself. So actually the tower, he see that Paul is coming, so he's going to have to get out of there. I think there's more Stalkers here from Daxn, but those Colossus and Immortals are going to make a pretty big difference. Trying to catch him out of position. He has the higher ground now, but that won't be enough. Probes are going down. We are seeing 4 probes now, so it's been a very long and gradual process, but Daxn is getting there, unless he might get this caught off. He's going to have to... Oh, go blink. No! Oh, not that way! No! You shouldn't have blinked that way. You should have blinked north. That was a very dumb move there by Daxn. Bit of miss micro, because he knew the army was there. It wasn't a surprise to him that the army was there, because he ran right past it. So actually losing 2 Stalkers there. So every time he's doing this, his army is getting smaller and smaller, but he might start rebuilding them soon. Twilight Council? Why the hell is he rushing at Twilight? Oh, DTs! Yes! That is exactly what you should be doing, Daxn. Don't mind me. Do not get Immortals. That would be a dumb thing to do. Only Terran players would say that. When behind Dark Shrine. That is the rhyme of Protoss. When behind Dark Shrine. And definitely in this case, he is pretty behind. So I think basically if he gets to the stage where if he can get 1 DT out, he will win the game. 1 DT, because Paul has absolutely no detection. And then if he gets the DT out, it'll basically come down to, can I kill his pylon before he finds my base? And he probably will. If he sees a DT, he'll just rush it. Like, because he can't play passively unless he just kind of huddles around his pylon. It'll only buy him time. So Paul should probably push out at this stage, but no, he's definitely baiting very hard. Having this army in like the range of the pylon is actually keeping Paul's army nearby. The Colossus might get caught out of position. The Colossus is so exposed. Why is he force firing his own Colossus? The Colossus will go down though, but so do all of these Stalkers. Uh-oh, so that was good moving there by Paul, actually trapping in those Stalkers. And now he's retreating this way, it might give him an idea of where his base is. How far the DTs are almost coming. The Darkshrine has such a huge build time. Excuse me. But once that does go down, then he'll be right. Oh no, but Paul is pushing out now. Paul might find this. He does have the money for it. But if he finds this base, then he's going to have to get some outlying pylons. He actually has one. Otherwise, he will lose the game to a base race. But he's going to probably need to bank up 400, so then you can afford a next. Oh, but Paul has actually found Daxn's base, and the Stalkers are way too far away to deal with that. The DT is getting his pylon, though. The pylon will definitely get there first. DTs do quite a bit of damage, and now the base race will not actually win for Paul. So GG there for Daxn. Wow. That was a really interesting and pretty intense game. Like, we'll look at the timer. Actually, I think it was about the 15-minute mark when they both had no bases. Yeah, look, 18 minutes. Okay, we'll say 20. 20 minutes, and both players, they had no bases. And from that stage, it was just constant, like, micro of their remaining units. Definitely trying to keep units alive, good unit preservation, and it came down to the fact that Daxn was just trying to buy time for his DTs, and that's exactly what he did. Paul was in a difficult position because he didn't know what to do. He didn't know where his base was. He didn't know if he even had a base. I mean, Paul might have thought that he didn't have a base, so why should I push out? But I think he had the army to split up that he should have pushed out and just looked for a base, because he could have easily held it. He had like 2 armies of equal size to Daxn's, and he could have probably pushed out with that army he saw and just taken that as bases as opposed to camping like Silnagas. But it is a very uncomfortable position to be in. You don't know what to do. With a spectator, I can tell him exactly what to do because it's obvious, because I can see everything. So shout out for both players for really good unit control. I did quite like seeing those interesting engagements where Paul would try and corner in Daxn's units, and he did. He did do that twice, so that was fun to see. Well, I hope you enjoyed my game. I will be at PBSL2 this weekend, and I hope to actually joining in some casting. That'd be fun. Maybe even Ireland, but who knows? Right now, all I have are my ambitions and my charisma. So I will see some of you at Barcraft. Goodbye.